Okay, this is my chasing hickory ring bow that had the bad moisture crack that I had to take down too much material and made it a little lighter than I wanted. So I shortened it up to get the 35 pounds, barely 35 pounds that I wanted. And the next day I went out and because I could feel that, because I shortened it, I could feel that was it. That was the end. So I shot about 25, 30 arrows out of it. And sure enough, I had a little bit of a grain lift. I had a splinter. I had a splinter pop up. If you can see the line here, look. See if you can see the line. See that line? A splinter pop up all of his strung. I said, well, that's the end of that. And then I remember with this hickory, I have a bow I called Second Chance. And it's 40 pounds, about 40, 43 pounds. And that had a grain lift. And I used AE40, put it on it, got it down into it, clamped it, and let it stay for 2 days. And sure enough, it held. I shoot it to this day. So I made sure I covered it with AE40, clamped it good, wiped it off the best I could with a little 92% alcohol, you know, just to get some of the heaviness off. I sanded it, and when I knew it was dry, 2 days later, I took it out and I shot it and it held. I said, you know, that's amazing that it held. Do I trust it 100%? Like, would I take it on a tournament for 30 arrows that count and score? No. So I said, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I ordered some rawhide back, you know, from Clay Hayes, from twistedstave.com. And, you know, I always get some nice rawhide from him. And I either use a card scraper and then sand it, but this was so clean I used sandpaper. You know, when I put it on the board, see the board here, and I sanded it nice. Cleaned it all up, and it came out nice and clean. So we're going to soak this for about an hour. Going to clean it off, you know, in the sink, and, you know, rinse it off. And soak this, not in hot water, but in like warm water for an hour. And this is going to go on this bow here. Okay? And with the back of the bow, the part that faces away from you, I have 36 grit. You know, it's a rough disc. And I scuff it up good. I scuffed it up good already. I'm going to scuff it up a little more. We're going to go in. And we're going to use tight bond and put that rawhide backing on this. And then once it dries and I trim it and resand it, I'm going to shoot it a bunch of times and see how it holds out. Okay, another little test, a little experiment. And if it really holds out, I know somebody I'm going to give it to. So, I have a friend I'm going to give it to. So, it's going to work out. I know it's going to work out because it shoots now with that AE40. And the rawhide's got to give it a little extra security. All right, so I'll show you inside. I'll take a couple quick pictures and then I'll show you shooting. Okay, the rawhide has about another 15 minutes to soak, but I just figured I'd give you some prep ahead of time. What I have prepped: a bunch of paper towel strips, okay, a good scissor to trim the rawhide. We're going to stretch it a little and lay it out. I kind of got a rough board here. It's a little wider than the limb, and we're going to trim the rawhide to this. There'll be overhang, and to put less mass on the tips, I have tape that I put down. You know, you use painter's tape, whatever, 6 inches down from the tip, and this is where the rawhide's going to be, just to give it a little extra strength. Okay, so it's all scuffed up like you've seen outside. And for the prep I have, you could use anything. This happens to be for putting on decals. Okay. But you could use a spackle knife or anything, right? This is a squeegee, actual squeegee, but so is a flat surface plastic spackle knife with no teeth. You know, that's a squeegee. Anything's a squeegee. So the idea is I'm going to show you, we're going to rub on the glue. Okay, and let the glue seep in the wood a little bit. May add a little water to it. And then we're going to keep on doing it, massaging it, let the wood will drink up the glue. And we're going to do that after we have the rawhide trimmed, rough trimmed, and stretched and rough trimmed. It'll be back there waiting. Then I'll start playing with the glue and I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, we're testing this rawhide. It's pliable. I'm going to let it go for another 10 minutes. Okay, but in the meantime, what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start putting a little glue on this surface and let it drink up. Okay, because this wood here that's got open pores now, we used the rough 36 grit disc to scratch it all up. Okay, and like I said, we got tape on the end here, so it'll help a little less mess here. And you can tell the wood is thirsty a little bit. I'm going to keep on massaging this in. Once I get both sides covered, I'm going to show you I'll add a little water to it. And what I do is different than everybody else. And I don't care what anybody says. It works for me, and this is what I do. I lay it down, I squeegee it down. I use my hand to make sure it contours good. I'll run a wet paper towel over the back, over actually the back of the rawhide when I'm done. Okay, now we're going to just add a little water because it's drinking it up. Dip my fingers in. Okay, I'm going to add a little more glue. Tell it's, you know, it's really dry and a little tacky. It's drinking it up. What's great about this Type-On 3 that I'm using is, you know, you can wash your hands, clean up nice. I wipe the edges here good. Okay, we're going to let this sit for a while. Alright. Okay, now what we're going to do is we put this aside. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to check this rawhide out. Okay, there's always one side that's rough that we sanded, and there's always one end that's thicker or thinner. Okay, so wring it out. I use a paper towel. Okay, I'm going to open this up here. I'm going to stretch it good. I'm going to separate it good. Then we're going to figure out what side's the thinnest side, and that'll go towards the tips. And we're going to trim it up. As you stretch it, that's the problem. When you stretch it, it makes it narrower. And now you got to take the time to pull it apart and make it wide again. But the stretching process is all part of it, because you want that backing to, not that it's going to be, you know, you want it to be secure and snug. So if by stretching it, pre-stretching it, it's going to be secure when you put it on. Okay, now this side's the thick side, and this side's the thin side. Okay. I'm going to go down and see where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to leave a little extra because I'm going to, if it shrinks back up or whatever, we're going to leave a little extra, but I'm going to trim some of this off. Okay. It pays to have good scissors. These are those, not that I'm recommending any brand or anything, but these happen to be those Fiskars. Okay, here we go. I'm going to lay it on this board here to see how wide it is. Like I said, we got time. We got time here. We got the other one soaking. We got time. We stretch this out. Okay, making sure it's wide as we need it. Okay. I'm going to trim a little of this off the width here. Okay, to save a little time on the video, what I did was stop the video, stretched it. It takes a while, you know, after you stretch it out, you got to pull it back. So that's what I did. I did both sides. I trimmed both sides, trimmed them a little bit so there isn't a lot, because these are thin limbs. So there isn't a ton of material hanging off the ends, okay? One side's thicker, one side's thinner, okay? One side is the nice part, one side's the part where we scraped all of that meat off, okay? All right. Now we're just going to put a little glue, a little more glue on here. You feel it's drinking it up. Now we're using like straight glue here. We had some glue drink up with the moisture. Feels good. It should feel a little tacky. It feels a little tacky. Again, if it's heavy and thick, you could add a little water. It's got to have a feel, a nice feel to it. Okay. I'll wipe the edges. Always have plenty of paper towels on hand. Okay. This is the top piece of rawhide I have trimmed. I'm putting glue on it. Remember, you put the glue on the side that you sanded. Okay. And the one side's going to be thin. That's going to go towards the limbs. Okay. Now, once again, I share my adventures here. And if you do something different, that's definitely, you know, that's up to you to do whatever you want to do. Let me grab these scissors. Just so you know too, when you see my bow making videos, right? I get them tilted, I get them bending pretty good. I shoot them the next day. And the idea is, after they've been shot, you know, 50 arrows or whatever I shoot out of them, then what I'll do is I'll check the tiller again on them. Okay? And make a minute adjustment here or there, sand whatever I have to get them to bend absolutely perfect again. And that's something I really should have mentioned. I didn't, but I figure better late than never. Okay, look at that. Okay. Now here we go. We got the squeegee here. You can see how nice it is. If it looks like it needs a little more glue, and it's like it drank it up or something, you know, you can see if it looks like it needs a little, put a little more on. You're only going to squeegee it out. Here's where you spread it. You know, sometimes because you stretched it, it may need to be stretched a little bit wider as it's on the bow here. Okay. And once again, where I'm going for is where I wrap my hand around, there's like a more than 1/4 of an inch. I'm letting this overhang here. 1/4 inch above where my palm would go around. It's about 1/4 inch above is where I'm having this seam. You could put it wherever you want. You could put it in the handle if you want, but I'm avoiding having a fold over to sand where my grip goes. I want it above it. Just because. That's what I want. Okay. We can take time with this. It's wet. It's going to take a little bit to dry. Okay. Guess I'm liking that pretty good. Okay. Okay, now what I do is I'm going to take a paper towel. It's a little wet, a little damp here. I'm going to wipe this down. I got my mark here with the tape, my tape mark. Okay, it's looking good. Okay, this is looking very good. Sorry it takes so long, but that's what it is. You take your time, it takes long. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom. Okay, let's move this over here a little bit. This has been all stretched and re-stretched back. Okay, it's been trimmed a little bit. Okay. Okay, this is the thinner end, this is the thicker end. It's been sitting in the water. We're going to stretch it wide again. Okay, here we go. Once again, we got the side that we scraped, we sanded, and that's going to be up. We're going to put the glue on that side. Okay. And we're going to put a little glue on this. We're going to feel this. See, it's getting a little dry, a little thirsty. Okay. Much better, much better. So far, I've done it this way with a bunch of board bows, 2 self bows, and I never had a problem with this. Okay, it just works. I like it better. Okay, now this is where it's going to overlap. It's going to overlap a little here. Okay, look at that, nice. Okay. Okay, let's put some glue on this. Let's put some glue on this rawhide backing that we sanded and we stretched and we laid out. Okay. It's Type Bond 3 I'm using. Okay. And this, whenever I make rawhide backing on the bow, it's like, I won't say it's bulletproof, but I'll tell you what, it makes the bow very dependable. So here we go. Oh, flip it over. Okay. Now we're going to get the length that we want. Cut it nice and even where we want. We want to make sure we get that overlay. Okay, that'll work. Okay, we're going to get the squeegee. We go nice. Okay, going to dry that glue that's coming out the seam. It picked up a little bit. Put a little more glue back down here. Okay. You know, it's taking long, but it is what it is. You know, you could speed up till after this is done if you want. But we want to make sure that this is exactly what we want here. Huh? Very nice. You can feel that tackiness there. Okay. And once again, we're going to get a wet paper towel. We're going to wipe this. Okay, it looks really good. Okay, we're just about done. Just going to get a wet paper towel here now. Okay. I'm going to go down to the end. I'm going to make sure there's nothing drastically dripping off the edges here. Okay, now my hands are clean. You saw me. I'm just going to take my hands now, right? And I'm going to make sure that it's contoured. Now this was chased down to a growth ring, so it's really nice and flat. And we're going to go up here one more time. Okay, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, I could feel the edges with my hands, so I make sure it's down around the edges. Okay, this tape is coming off because it's just a guide. Here we go. Look at that. Okay, that's it. We're going to shut down the video. I'm going to carefully unscrew the vise and put it inside, and we're going to let it dry, and I'll show you when I'm trimming it. Here it is sitting on the table just to show you. It's got to dry for 24 hours, and then I'll show you trimming it. It's the next afternoon, and that rawhide is dried really nice. Came out good. Take a look. And once again, there's no wrapping lines because I just lay it down. I make sure that it's flush, and I use a squeegee, and then I leave it alone and let it dry. Okay. Now to trim it, we got here is a box cutter. Let me just take a little of this back here. Just so I'm not cleaning up too much of a mess here. I got a garbage pail. And you see here, look how nice this is, right? See how it's covered here? And all we're gonna do is slide. Got a new blade in here. We're just gonna slide the blade down. And we're gonna keep on sliding it down, gentle. The idea is we don't want to make splinters. Okay. Careful cuts. This is about the hardest part you got to do here, the sight window, see? Then what you do is, we got the blade, we're going to hold this blade kind of flush. And look, we're just sliding it along. Okay? Instead of flush, you can hold it up a little bit like this here. Trim off the excess. See, look, see how the excess is coming off? Look. I don't know if you can see this or not, see? Always be careful, see I'm cutting towards me for the camera, but you gotta watch, see my handle stop here. Okay. Look. Now there's a couple of different things you could do too to scrape this off. Okay. Some people use a file. And if you use a file, you don't want to go up against it. You want to go down this way. I'm picking it up. I push down, I pick it up. The other thing you could do too is if you have, like I have on my belt sander, a really light worn belt, you just gently run it along. But before you do that, there's a lot of excess here that you want to trim off. Like see here see where the handle's got a dip here? See? I'm going to go down this way, and then I'm going to go the other way. And see how it pops off? Now granted, you'll have to resand all this nice. Okay, but this rawhide, look, see how nice? This rawhide's certainly going to keep it, make it a lot stronger, and you shouldn't have to worry about it. See? It supports the back of the bow, and you shouldn't really have to worry about it lifting. You know, of course it depends on the quality of the wood you have, the stave. But look, see? We're taking off all that heavy stuff, and once all this heavy stuff is done, you know, then you're able to take it off on the belt sander. So let me trim this up a little bit, and then I'll show you. Okay, see where my grip is, right, where my hand is? This is because we're adding this onto this afterwards, right? It's not like we got a stave and we're putting the rawhide on and then we're going to trim it all. We're conforming it to what we have. So we got a half round file, fine file, and we're able to go and shape where our hand is here nice. See? Gonna do the same on the other side here. Just keep going until it get down to the nice wood. Okay. Okay. Like I said, you see how I'm going up here? You really don't want to go up, you want to go down into it. So here we go, watch. Let me show you. And here we go, look, see? There we go, nice. Always go down into it. Okay, it's coming along. And as you're trimming it up, if you have a little wood that seems to like have a little bit, like you cut into the wood a little bit, you just go with the file, clean it up, cleans up really easy, especially by where you have it shaped. If you have it pre-shaped, you know, it's a little challenging to carve it out, and it's okay to use this half round file. You're going to use sandpaper when you're done. Okay, look, I got this, the limb. Okay, the limb's almost all done. Okay, I'm going to just take this out in the garage now because I have it, all the extra flap, that flap is all gone. And I'm going to just touch it up quick on a belt sander, just like really a couple of quick strokes, and come out, we're going to sand it. Okay, like I showed you, there's a couple of spots that's high. You just take this file, go into the wood, and where it's curved, follow it. Okay, so I took this to the belt sander, and the belt sander make quick work without taking off too much weight of the sides. See how I cleaned up the sides nice? Okay, now I'm going to take sandpaper and I'm going to round the edges. Okay, I very carefully took some 60 grit and went down like this here with it. Okay. Now this is 100. What we got here? This is 100 grit. And I'm going to just try and round the edge a little bit. Making sure I go into these curves good. Cut out by the riser, I go back into it. Going down into it. Grab the riser, cut out. Okay, going down into it, down. Okay. So now I'm gonna, now that I got this pre-rounded here, don't worry about a little fraying on the edges. Don't worry, I'm gonna use like a, if you're gonna put a color on this, I tried stain, and the stain leaves blotches, but the leather dye works really good. You could use leather dye on this and it comes out great. Or you could just take your time and sand this lightly with like a real light, 320, go a little lighter, a little light steel wool, and put clear polyurethane on it. Accepts it pretty well. It actually looks pretty good. The other thing here is where you see where we have an overlap here. See where I put it was higher than where my hand is. So I feel no transition. But what I'll do is I'll get the edge of the sandpaper, just to show you. And I'm able to just sand the edge down a little bit to make that transition a little better. Okay? Got to be careful. You can actually put tape here, tape on the lower side, and just transition it down. You can keep on adding tape as you, if you hit the tape. A lot of people will disagree with, oh, you're sanding the rawhide because you're opening up the pores and all. But you know what? It works. You just got to use the right sandpaper. And you got to keep on going down lower and lower. You know, you don't want to destroy the back. You just want to take off any high spots. That's all. See? A little taper never hurts. Okay. I got this 320 grit here just to show you. You see me going right over the rawhide with the 320 grit? Going over the edges. I just want to show you, see the 320 grit? It really isn't bad. It don't do really anything. And like I said, once we do this here, as far as cleaning it up wise, okay, you can always take 4/0 steel wool. We'll see what happens when you use 4/0 steel wool on it. Well, I'm doing this just to show you. Okay, look. You see, with the 4/0 steel wool? See, we got a little maybe marks there or something. Look, 4-0 steel wool, polishing it. All right, I'm going to work on this a little bit more, but you got the idea. And then we're going to put a string on it and check the tiller. I have it sanded. I have it steel wooled. I have it to where I want it. It's good enough for some testing. And remember, we added this because we had a lift, a splinter that I closed with AE40. And like I mentioned earlier, I have a boat called Second Chance that had a lift. And I used AE40 and clamped it, and it's still holding today. And what I did with this one, with the lift, I put the AE40 in, I used a toothpick, got it all in. I had wax paper. I kind of clamped it down and wiped the excess off with alcohol, just so there wouldn't be big blobs on there. And then I had wax paper that I clamped over. So the wax paper was easy to scrape off with a cabinet scraper when I was done, you know, and sand it off. And I took a couple of shots with it, and I was like, wow, it held up. I said, do I trust it? You know, like I said earlier, to shoot a tournament with? Maybe not. But with the rawhide, if this holds up, we're going to shoot a bunch of arrows soon. If it holds up, yeah, the rawhide definitely gives it support. So we're going to check the tiller, see if that changed. Okay. Okay, we got it strung up now. Let's see what we got for measurements here. Okay, we got like 6.5. We got 6 3/4 here. So this one isn't bending. Oh, wait a minute now. Depends where we put it. 6.5 there. 6 3/4. This limb here is bending more than this one. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna put some marks on this, and I'll get back to you. Okay, just to show you quickly, this bottom limb is bending more than the top. And if we look at these curves here, okay, this bottom limb has a very nice bend, okay? If we look at this top limb, okay, it's not bending as much here. We're going to take some off here first, and then I'm going to take some material overall off, okay? See if you can see that, okay? Take some off here to get the bend a little bit, and then overall. And we're going to do that and come back out. I spent 20 minutes in the garage, taking off material, measuring from the string to the center point, string to the fade out. I used a belt, then I'd use a little hand sanding, then I put the string on, I'd flex it a few times, I'd remeasure it, back and forth. 20 minutes later, I got it even, okay? And let's just take a look at the bend we got here. I got a little bit of tension on it, okay? Got a nice bend here going on, nice even mirror image bend going on here again. Got a nice even mirror image going on here again. We're just going to pull it down a little bit more and check it. Okay, we've got 20.5-inch draw here. We're not going to waste a lot of time, we're just going to look at it. Beautiful bend. This side looks like it's bending a little more. So when I look at it, it's got a nice bend. Okay, so I think we're safe. I think it's close enough. We got 20.5 inches here. Let me warm it up a little bit, pull it back. I'm gonna put this back a little so you can check out the profile. Okay, we're gonna go check out the profile quick. I think you can see the profile from here. It feels nice, it feels a little lighter weight, but it feels smooth. I'll give it that it feels smooth. Let's see how many pounds it is. 31¼ pounds. 31¼ pounds. Okay, so we got that 31¼ pound bow, and we're going to get some arrows. We're going to shoot it a bunch of times. All right, I certainly won't be using it for the 3D season for me, but you know, it is smooth. It's durable now. It's not going to break, and we're going to prove it by shooting a bunch of arrows. I'm going to get some arrows we're going to shoot. Okay, check out the rawhide backing, the trimming around the riser. See? Okay, we made a 30-pound bow, a lighter bow, and I have these 700 spine entradas with 75 grain tips. And I guarantee you that these are a little stiff. They probably need at least 100 grain point on. And if that's true, they're stiff, they should impact to the left, but we'll see. I'm going to aim right behind the shoulder of that bear, that front shoulder, and we'll see where it goes. Went left, okay. Now we're just going to shoot a bunch of arrows. We'll see if we get a group there. Not bad, it's not bad. And what we have here is a real durable bow. Like I said, that rawhide is really durable. And if you're going to put a color on rawhide, you have to use the leather dye because the stain is blotchy. Or, like I said, you could just go over this with steel wool, the 4-0 steel wool, and take a warm satin polyurethane and get it in there good and have a clear finish on it, which looks pretty good too. Okay, now we're going to do a little playing, a little stress test in here. So my draw length is about 26½. I would say between 26 and 26½. So let's see what the weight is at 27. And guys will come like, oh, you shouldn't do that with the draw stick and the scale. Don't worry about it. You guys worry about too much stuff. Here we go. We're going to see, this is 27. When that card comes back, we're going to see what the weight is at 27. And if it's too much, if it feels like it's too much, I'm going to stop. Okay, it's almost 34 pounds at 27. And I would say, feeling it, that's the max, okay? So I'm like 26, 26½. I would say, looking at this, is more like I'm 26. Let's see. A little more than 26. All right, so it's a success, it worked. Okay, we'll look at the bow again. And like I said, I got the tiller pretty good. You know, take my time and maybe make it a little lighter, perfect it a little bit more, but I don't want to drop any more weight. I think it's good for now for a play around bow. And but I can't leave nothing alone, so I'm going to shoot some more arrows. I'm going to shoot like 50 arrows out of this thing today, and then I'm going to check the tiller just for the heck of it and see what it looks like. Let's send the bare shaft down there and see what happens. Okay, the bare shaft went to the left of the group. Shows that it's stiff. Like I said, it's a little stiff. Needs a little heavier point. But just for now, flinging arrows, it's holding up. It's dependable. I trust it. I trust this like any other bow I have. Okay, so the rawhide definitely makes a big difference. A few more arrows, then we'll measure. Might as well walk you down and show you. Okay. Oh, I shot the bare shaft. It shows stiff, really stiff, because you know why? It's a 600. My bad. I have the wrong one in the quiver. But we got a nice group going on. And like I said, we're going to keep on shooting and then check it out. Well, might as well make the most of this video. If you take your hand and you just throw your hand out naturally. You see that little angle? It's repeatable without even thinking about it. That's called the natural cant. Olympic shooters can tuck their finger under, they shoot it upright. Compounds do the same thing. With a traditional bow, you just lay your hand in there and take advantage of that natural cant. Okay, when I anchor, all right, and I haven't really thought about this much because the 3D season is starting now. I want to keep my hand tight against my face, whether I use back tension or I use the back tension and hold my hand there with static, okay? My elbows all the way back, no chicken wing. So, here we are, we're gonna pull back, I'm gonna hold that natural cant, and when I get the bow out there, I'm gonna hold it. I'm holding the bow there. Because what happens is if you shoot it loose without a finger sling, you don't want to drop the bow. Guaranteed, you grab it, and you see what happens when you grab it? It goes to the right. If you pluck them off your face, it goes to the left, okay? Now this is really the wrong bow and arrows because they're not tuned. And I laugh when I hear the old timers go, I never tuned an arrow in my life. I just grab them and I shoot them. Well, I got to tell you what, at 15 yards, you give me a whole bunch of arrows and I'll put them all in the target. It don't mean that at 20 or 25 yards, I'm going to have any kind of group or even hit the target for that matter. So you should really tune your arrows. But let's do a little form here. I use it on lighter bows, top finger to the corner of my mouth, elbow all the way back. I kind of take my thumb and slide it under my jaw so it's tight there. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, see, I keep my hand up. I try to be a shooting machine. See where I got my fingers on this? And I'm holding it there. And take a look where it went. Let's see, can we see it? We'll take a quick walk down. Okay, it basically went where I put it, just an inch or two to the left because it's a little stiff, that's all. All right, so keep your hand up on target after you release. You can keep your grip loose until you're out there. Use that, take advantage of that natural cant. You throw your hand out and you're back at full draw. Now hold the bow there, hold it. Okay, my release, to keep you from plucking, a couple things have to happen. You're gonna feel that back tension, right? This is how I describe back tension. If you went outside and you were tired and you yawned and you stretched your arms, you went, see that? You can feel your back compress, feel your shoulder blades coming together, right? that's back tension, okay? It's as simple as that. So come back, I put my thumb underneath, I go all the way back. No chicken wing, I'm all the way back, can't go back no more. I feel my back tension, I'm touching the corner of my mouth. And now the only way I engage my back is either to release it with the back tension, static, or it's a 30-degree downward wrap around like the yawn. See my elbow, that 30-degree downward? That's back tension, okay? Simple as that. Without all the fancy talk, the bones, the this, the that. That's what it boils down to in the simplest terms, okay? So let's go shoot a couple more with this, and then we're going to measure it again. Okay, that's my 60th arrow. 60th arrow. Let's go take a look, and then we're going to measure it. Okay, not bad, right? So not a bad group. That was my 60th arrow. We're going to go back, and I'm going to get my tape measure, and we're just going to check the tiller on this one more time. Okay, so I got a tape measure here. Let's check out the measurements. And you can see that this fade out over here from where I have the mark is a little thicker. Let's see how much thicker it is. All right, it's almost a ½ inch there. A little less. Let's see, let's measure it to the string. We got 7 3/8 from the fade out to the string. And we got 7 1/4 from this one that's a little thicker, okay? If we go down here by the string, it's 5 1/4. By the string, it's 5 1/4. Let's go back and look at it, okay? I think it looks pretty good. It's shooting pretty good. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. You can check the profile again just to see what it looks like. Okay. I can't tell you, for some reason, whatever the reason is, I don't know. It's a little less pounds, okay? It has the rawhide backing on. And I don't know if it's psychological or what, but it feels smoother and safer, all right? I don't have to worry about this breaking. And it feels smooth and safe. And you see it's pretty fast too, right? You know, it's a 30-pound bow. You see it's pretty fast. So I'm happy with it. And this is going to be a great bow for somebody. I'm going to talk to one of my friends, see if anybody, I have an idea who I might give this to. We'll see. All right. So thanks for watching. Watch my other videos on Bear Bow Joe. Okay, every day you wake up is a good day. Make the best of it. Okay, I'm going to use some warm satin polyurethane from Minwax. I use 4/0 steel wool on the entire rawhide and limbs and riser. You know, after you sanded it with the 320, then I used the 4/0 steel wool, and this is what it looks like. It's going to be clear, and it's going to come out nice. Make sure I get it on the horn tips and in the string grooves. Okay, you can see the difference, right? It's looking good. I make sure I massage it in good. I'm rubbing it in good with paper towels. I want to get every inch of it coated. Don't want no big drips, but I want to get it coated. Okay, let's see what we got here. We'll flip it around. Make sure I get the horn tips on the top limb too. Don't really matter what you hang it from, the top or the bottom. Sometimes for the second coat I'll switch it around. Make sure that all the wood gets coated that's been sanded. The edges, the side, everything. Okay, I'm going to hang it up and then I'm going to wipe the bottom limb down. But it looks pretty good. I'll show you when it's done. There's a slip knot on the string groove and a wraparound loop here. I'm going to hang it from the deer antler. And I'll show you in a minute. Okay, this is the first coat of the warm satin polyurethane. Looks pretty good. Told you the rawhide don't look bad with that warm satin polyurethane on it. Looks pretty good, natural.